Thank you so much. Good morning and karibu sana. This is the mid-morning park. And of course, I know this week we've given you some surprises right here on MBCI TV because initially you used to know that the mid-morning park used to come to you every Wednesday. But from this week, this October, our mid-morning park will be coming to you live from this particular studio every day, the entire week. And yesterday, of course, you had our colleague Wilson Committee taking you through the Financial Monday. Now, on this Tuesday, we are starting what we are calling the Legal Tuesday. This is where we will be taking you through matters to do with the law, matters to do with the legal issues, and everything in between that you are supposed to know. And this one will be quite interesting. Of course, I'll be having my colleague Paul Kagi, who is telling me he will be shifting the language that we are used to have, and he will be talking to you in Kiswahili. Ama namna gani mwenzangu Kagi?
Niko salama. Na basi mpenzi mtazamaji, hamjambo. Leo tuko hapa katika MBCI TV na leo kabisa natumia lugha ambayo inaitwa Kiswahili, tukiangalia mambo tofauti ambayo inahusiana na mambo ya kisheria. Kwa hivyo leo tunageuka kuwa mawakili ndani ya studio. Kama kuna maswali ambayo ungependa kutuuliza kuhusiana na mambo ya sheria, tuko gange na mwana sheria hapa studio. Tutakuwa hapa na maswala mbalimbali. Vile vile tumekuandalia mambo kemkem ambayo itaweza kuelimisha kuhusu mambo ya sheria. Kama hujaelewa kuhusiana na mpangilio wa koti zetu, nitakuandalia sehemu maalum ili kukuelimisha kuhusiana na mambo yanahusiana na koti zetu zinakaa namna gani na zinafanya kazi kivipi. Naitwa Paul Kagi, niko area.
Asante sana. Of course, that is Paul Kagi, so you can expect a very, very captivating program here. And of course, as Kagi has said, when you're talking about matters law, matters legal, I think this is something that affects almost each and every individual. Actually, I can say everyone in one way or another, you are affected by law. Now, there are so many issues when it comes to law. And what knowledge do you have as far as law is concerned? When it comes to you, maybe as a parent, when it comes to you, maybe as a businessman, when it comes to you, maybe as an employer, as an employee, maybe you also as a career person, and so on and so forth. It's very, very important for you to know the aspects of law that actually affect you. And even for those maybe who are politicians and also maybe aspiring to be politicians, what law do you need to know? These are some of the issues that we'll be tackling in Legal Tuesday. Every Tuesday right here on MBCI TV in this mid-morning park. And of course, today we also have, as Kagi has already told you, we have lined up for you today a very, very interesting discussion. Of course, just like laying the foundation, we'll be discussing what we call the Bill of Rights or the Bill of Rights. What do you understand when you talk about the Bill of Rights? Do you know some of the rights that you have as a Kenyan? Do you know some of the rights that you have as a citizen of this particular country? How do these rights affect you? What needs to be done maybe when your rights are violated? What are some of the actions that you need to take when some of these rights are violated? These are some of the issues that we'll be tackling in this particular program. But of course, Kagi, we have some other very good segments as we continue with this particular show.
Yes, tuko na mambo mengi ambayo tutakuandalia mpenzi mtazamaji asubuhi ya leo. Vile vile kama kuna majina ambayo umesikia kitajwa katika mahakama zetu, tuko na sehemu ambayo tunakufahamisha kuhusiana na ufafanuzi wa baadhi ya maneno ambayo umekuwa ukipokea katika mahakama zetu. Kwa hivyo ka standby. Vile vile kuna baadhi ya kesi ambazo zimefanywa humu nchini Afrika, Kenya ama dunia mzima. Tumekuandalia baadhi ya kesi ambazo zimefanywa, lakini uamuzi wake ni uamuzi ambao kidogo unatatanisha ama unatisha ama unaogofya ama unasumbua pia akili. Tuko na hiyo sehemu vile vile. Na pia tunakuelimisha kuhusiana na mambo mbalimbali ambao ni ya sheria. Kwa mfano, ukitaka kujua mengi zaidi kuhusu sheria za vyama vya kisiasa, kuhusu watoto, tuko hapa. Leo nimesema na kufahamisha kuhusiana na mpangilio wa mahakama zetu. Umekuwa ukisikia Supreme Court, High Court, Magistrate Court. Leo ni mwalimu wako mimi hapa.
That's very interesting. And of course, Kagi will be taking us through that. The structure of our courts is important for you to know. What are some of the structures of our courts in this particular country? And of course, also for you to be in a position to be able to know what is it that you're supposed to do, what is it and where is it that you're supposed to go. Maybe when you have a particular case and how maybe you want that particular case to actually be looked into. So it will be a very, very good segment, and I know Kagi will be taking us through it maybe in a short while. But just as we had said, and just as we had also notified you today, laying the foundation, we'll be discussing about the Bill of Rights as enshrined in our Constitution. And it's very important for you to be able to know some of these Bill of Rights. What do they mean when you say that as a citizen, as a Kenyan, that you have this particular right? What does it mean for you to have this particular right? How do you enjoy this particular right? What are the instances maybe when your right will have to stop maybe for the sake of another person's right? These are some of the issues that we'll be talking about. And in this particular program, we will be joining, or we'll actually be inviting some of our experts, some of our professionals in the legal sector and in other sectors who are familiar with matters law to come here and be in a position to help you so that you can also be in a position to understand and also make a right decision when you have, or when you are required maybe to look into a number of things as far as law is concerned. And today we are privileged, and we also have an opportunity to bring to you a guest who is the advocate of the High Court of Kenya and also a commissioner of oaths, that is Wakili Wilfred Konosi. Karibu sana Wakili, good to have you in MBCI TV, the Mid-Morning Park.
Thank you very much.
Asante sana Wakili. And of course, we are expecting and looking forward to a very, very interesting and captivating conversation with you on matters to do with the Bill of Rights. And of course, even as we continue helping our viewer to be able to know what are some of these Bill of Rights and maybe what are some of the issues that they need to maybe understand. And maybe just to lay the foundation, Wakili, yes. When you talk about Bills of Rights or Bill of Rights, the Bill of Rights, what exactly are we saying?
The Bill of Rights provides for the rights and fundamental freedoms which should be enjoyed by all Kenyans.
And maybe just Wakili, before you continue, my director is telling me that we have a skit, a legal skit for us to actually look into so that we can also be in a position to lay the ground for this particular program. My director, you can give us that legal skit, then you'll be able to pick up with where Wakili has left.
Morning.
Poa sana.
Yeah, ndio naingia job. Gari. Si wacha niingie.
Unataka nini huko?
Niko naingia job.
Unataka nini?
Naingia job.
Huku nimeambiwa na my dad usionekane huko tena.
Since when na jana nilikuwa kazi.
Hivyo ndo mzee amesema huku usionekane tena.
Aje.
Ni hivyo umenisikia? Sipendi kujirudia.
Yesterday nilikuwa kazi. Na asubuhi sasa hivi.
Sasa hiyo si shida yangu. Umeambiwa huku usionekane tena.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Wacha yeye.
Rudi bali mapaka.
Ni sawa, wacha yeye mwenyewe aniambie.
Huku uruhusiwi kabisa kuingia.
Nasema wacha yeye mwenyewe aniambie. Excuse me. Let me go and take it from your dad.
What? Umepitia wapi? Umepita security chini na umerudi umepita kijana yangu. Umekuja kufanya nini? Nilisema usiingie hapa.
Si nilikuwa kazi jana.
Haijalishi kutoka saa 6 ya usiku ninasikia sikutaki Jeni.
Aje na nimefanyia kazi for 10 years.
Sikutaki. Hii kazi ni yangu. Na ninaweza kufanya vile mimi nataka. Out. Ama niite security wa chini.
Nihurumie tu.
Out. Don't make me lose my patience. Nimesema out.
Si nimekufanyia kazi for
Mike!
for 10 years.
Mike! Toa huyu nje. Nilisema asiingie hapa.
Boss. Boss.
Toka.
I've worked for you for 10 years.
Toka
And yesterday
nje.
nilikuwa kazi.
Toka
How would you
nje.
do me?
Toka nje.
Out.
Out.
Toka kabisa. Nini? This is my company. I can hire and fire anytime. Who is Jamie? Nonsense. Useless. Bure kabisa.
Out. Toka. Out. Toka, out. Toka. Hauku zudi tena. Toka. Out.
Sasa nitafanya nini? Nitaanzia wapi? I am done. I am doomed. Oh my God. Sasa hivyo tu ndio nilipoteza kazi. Ipo tu. Sasa nitaenda wapi? Tena tu nilikuwa job. What am I going to do? I am done. I am doomed. Oh my God. Sasa nitafanya nini? Who will help me? Oh my God. Where will I start? Nitaanzia wapi mimi? Mimi ni wanani? Oh my God.
There you go. That is our legal skit for today. Just laying the foundation for us in this particular program. Quite an interesting skit there, Kagi. Yes, on the legal skit. And just laying the foundation for us when you're talking about the Bill of Rights.
Yeah.
That it's very, very possible that so many of our people might actually in one way or another maybe not be in a position to actually know the rights that they have. And
Yes.
also those others who are violating the rights of others.
Na before you continue Mangicho, kwanza kwa mtazamaji ambaye anatusikiza ni kumfahamisha kwamba tunapoongea kuhusu Bill of Rights, tunaongea kuhusu haki za kimsingi kwa kila mtu. Manake katiba yetu imeweza kupatiana haki za kimsingi kwa kila Mkenya.
Yes.
Na ndizo hizi ambazo zimewekwa katika katiba yetu.
Yeah.
Na kwa sababu wakili uko area leo, atatufahamisha mengi kuhusiana na, lakini mwanzo kabisa ni kufahamisha mtazamaji wewe uko na haki yako ya kimsingi.
Sure.
Na ndio leo nataka tuangalie kwa kina haki zako za kimsingi kulingana na katiba ni zipi.
That's very good. And of course, Wakili, of course you're picking up from, you're giving us just the general introduction of the Bill of Rights.
Yes.
And maybe you can also look into that in relation maybe to the legal skit that you've just watched.
Okay, thank you very much. As I was saying, the Bill of Rights provides for fundamental rights and freedoms which every person, not even every Kenyan, every person is supposed to enjoy. And these rights are given to us because we are human beings. And they are not granted to us by the state. So they include what we call the three-generation rights. That is the civil and political rights. And then we have the economic, social, and cultural rights. And then we have what we call the rights groups, the the people's rights that affects groups like the disabled, the aged, the youth, and children. So we have rights encompassing all areas. We have, like in the Constitution, we have that in Chapter 4 of our Constitution. It has 40 articles which deal with the Bill of Rights. And they range from matters, family, environmental matters, consumer rights, labor rights, yes, like the skits which we have seen. The Constitution, Article 41, provides that every person has a right to fair labor practices. So quickly, those are that's a very quick overview about the Bill of Rights. Yeah.
Of course, and we'll be coming back to you. But also remember, our dear viewer, you can also give us your opinions. You can also give us your perspectives on today's discussion. Of course, you know the drill. You can catch us live on our Facebook page, that is MBCI TV, and you can also get us live on our YouTube page, that is MBCI TV Official. And you can also give us your shortcode, or you can give us your SMS on our shortcode platform, that is 23814, 23814. You can just give us your understanding of what we mean when you talk about the Bill of Rights. What is it that you think we mean? What is meant when you talk about the Bill of Rights? And of course, we'll be able to appreciate some of your feedback even as we continue with this particular discussion. Okay, you've actually grouped them very well. And so maybe one of the most important, or a very, very important question, or a very important factor that maybe every Kenyan is supposed to know. What is it or how important is it for one to be able to know about these rights?
It's important for a person to know about these rights, because if you don't know about these rights, you can't tell when they have been violated. And our Constitution has provided remedies when these rights have been threatened, infringed, or violated. And it has provided a mechanism through which you can seek redress in our courts. So people should know about their rights, so that when they are violated, they know I can go to court and seek redress for that right which has been violated, threatened, or infringed. Yeah.
Wow.
Lakini wakili, pia mnaposema kwamba ni vizuri mtu aweze kujua hizi haki, kile kinachonisumbua ni kwamba ni kwa njia ipi raia ataweza kuelewa hizi haki, kwa sababu ukienda kwa raia wengi hata kule mitaani waulize kama wanajua haki zao za kimsingi, wengi inawezekana kwamba hawana habari. Sasa ni kwa njia ipi ambao ni rahisi na kwamba mwananchi anaweza akajua haki zake za kimsingi kisawasawa?
Kwanza nataka kuwashukuru sana kwa kuanzisha kipindi kama hizi. Kwa sababu hii ndio njia moja ya wananchi kujua haki zao. Njia nyingine ni kuwa na ile tunaita civic education. Serikali yetu ipange, iweke pesa kando ya kufanya civic education. Waende mashinani, waeleza watu ya kwamba hizi ndio rights zenu, hizi ndio haki zenu. Yeah.
Asante sana. Na nafikiri hapo ndio kumekuwa na changamoto wakati ambapo hata katika mambo ya uchaguzi mambo ya kuweza kuwaleta wananchi kuja kusikiza labda ile ambayo inaita civic education au kuelimisha wananchi kuhusu mambo haya, na kwa tatizo pia wananchi kujitokeza kuweza kupokea elimu kama hii.
Lakini hapo ndio media inatakiwa iplay role. Mkitangaza ya kwamba mtakuja kufunzwa juu ya rights zenu, haki zenu, nafikiria wananchi watajitokeza. Yeah.
Kabla Mangicho uendelee, ninafikiria kuhusiana na mtu ambaye labda amepelekwa kotini, kwa sababu wakili yuko hapa, amepelekwa kotini, lakini kesi yake inapoendelea labda kesi yake imekwenda vibaya, haki yake haikutendeka kwa sababu ya kutoelewa kuhusu haki zake za kimsingi. Je, kama wakili, kuna watu ambao wanakuja kotini kwa sababu hawana habari kuhusu haki zao, kesi yao inakwenda fiongo?
What I would say is that there are people who come to court and they don't know the right procedure to follow. And because of that, their rights might be violated because they do not know what routes to take. But once some of those people come to us, we are able to assist them and seek redress to remedy what had gone wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, there is this expression, wakili, that there are instances when one's rights will stop where another person's right starts. What does it normally mean?
I forgot to mention that human rights are interrelated and are interdependent. you can't enjoy one without the other. You know, there's a way they are related and they are interdependent. I can't really say that one right starts here and another person's rights begins here. Even though under the Constitution we have instances, I think under Article 24, when all the rights can be limited. There are instances when these rights can be limited. But that is to all persons. So we can't say that there's a person who enjoys a higher cadre of rights than the other. We are all equal and we enjoy those rights equally. Yeah.
Okay. And for someone who feels, or maybe who has been in a situation or in a circumstance where they have, or they feel, or where they believe that their rights have been violated, what is the recourse?
The recourse, of course, is to seek redress in our law courts. And that has been provided for under Article 22 of the Constitution. You can go to the High Court and seek redress. Under Article 23, the remedies which the court can give you are enumerated there. Yeah.
And what are some of the issues that maybe the court will have to consider when maybe someone has gone there, maybe saying that maybe their rights have been violated in one way or another? What are some of the issues that the court will have to look into for them now to come up with a proper judgment that indeed this particular individual's rights was violated?
Of course, number one, what the court looks at is you must state which article or which right has been violated. Is it the right to education, the right to fair labor practices, the right to a clean and healthy environment? So once you identify the right which has been violated, then you give facts which show how that right has been violated. So the court will look at the right which is complained about, the facts supporting your case that that right has been violated. Okay. Of course, if you prove your case, then the court will award you the appropriate remedies provided for in the Constitution. Okay. But of course, it has to listen to the other side and hear their part of the story before they pass judgment.
Sure. Yeah. And how easy, how costly is it maybe for someone now, or this complainant or this claimant who is taking this particular issue to the court of their rights being violated? How easy or how possible is it for them to execute successfully such a particular case?
If you look at our Constitution, it has provided for a very simplified way of taking these complaints to court. Yeah? It is not that very strict. So long as you identify the right which has been violated and give facts. Even if it was you walk into court and you are able to identify the right which has been violated and give the facts, the court will listen to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
To listen to you.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe before I bring Kagi, so that maybe we can also take a short break. When it comes to those who violate, or those who can actually now be the ones that are responsible maybe for violating the rights.
Yes.
Are we only talking about individuals, or who else can violate this right?
Individuals can violate rights. The government or government officials can violate rights. Companies can violate rights. Yeah. Okay. So it's not limited to only individuals.
Yes.
Yeah. Even state organs can violate a person's rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe Kagi, if you have a point before we take a short break.
Maybe wakili nikuuliza kuhusiana na kisa kimoja tu.
Yeah.
Wakati ambapo mojawapo kati ya haki za kimsingi ni elimu, isn't it, education. Wakati mtoto amekataa kwenda shule, si mzazi amekataa kumpeleka shule, amesema mimi siende shule na siende shule. Na sheria inasema lazima mtoto afanye nini? Akasome. Mambo kama haya ninawekwa wapi? Kuna haki zimekiukwa ama mtoto amekiuka haki zake binafsi pia?
I think I'll state that this is now a person who is refusing to accept their rights. And there are ways in which the government deals with a child who has refused to go to school. We have what we call children in need of protection and discipline. Actually, that child can be taken to court because there is an issue of indiscipline, where they can be counseled and maybe get back into the right track.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting point, Wakili, because so where do you draw, maybe where do you exactly draw the line between maybe someone violating the rights, the right of another person, and maybe the person is violating their own rights?
It's quite simple.
Yes.
You see, as a child, I have a right to education. My parent has paid school fees. Yeah, I refuse to go to school. I am violating my own rights.
Yes.
If I want to go to school, my father says, no, I'm not going to pay school fees for you. Now, that parent is violating my rights because education is a fundamental right.
Yeah.
And maybe to mention, you've seen how we have progressed in education. Early in our days, we used to pay fees in primary.
Right.
Yeah, but you've seen progressively, now we have compulsory basic education. And it is moving up progressively until what I believe should happen is that up to university, that education should be free if we had the resources. Yeah.
And this can also actually also be related maybe with also maybe when it comes to maybe the right to health?
Yes, but when it comes to the right to health, what we call the social, economic and cultural rights, the Constitution states that those rights are progressive depending on the resources which the government has. I remember I filed a case in courts about 5 years ago where we were saying that the government was impeding the right to education by funding students in public schools to the exclusion of those in private schools. But of course the court ruled against us.
Quite interesting. I think we can take a short break at this particular point. Remember, you're still watching the Mid-Morning Pack. And of course, this is the Legal Tuesday, the very, very first show of this particular subject. And of course, it will be coming to you. Every Tuesday, where we will be discussing matters to do with the law, matters to do with the legal aspects, of course. And this is an area that we've said affects every individual. As a Kenyan, when it comes to law, this, of course, in one way or another, it affects you. And of course, it's very, very important for you to be able to know. And I think after the short break, Kagi will be coming back with landmark ruling.
Yes, landmark ruling. Na today tutakuwa tukiangalia jamaa anaitwa Felicien Kabuga. Yeah, alikuwa ni one of the tycoons in Rwanda.
Yes.
Alihusishwa na mambo ya the 1994 Rwanda genocide.
Felicien Kabuga.
Yes.
And there used to be a time when I used to hear people saying that he was in Kenya.
Yes, there are those rumors that he's around, but we found he was found somewhere in Europe. I'm going to explain a short while.
Yeah, you'll tell us. We have that segment for you, our dear viewer, landmark rulings in this particular show, where we'll be giving you some of the rulings that have been made, of course, across the country and also across the globe. Some of the rulings that maybe left a lot of sensation. So let us take that short break. You're still watching the Mid-Morning Pack. Catch us live on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube page, that is NBCI TV Official.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Huyu alikuwa president mwaka gani?
2002. What? 2002.
Laikipia ni county namba ngapi?
Mimi labda niseme 10.
Ako na mguu mrefu kama
miti.
green lorry, red lorry. Nataka uirudie mara 3 mbio bila kustop. Twende nalo.
Green lorry, lilo. Green lorry, red lorry. Green lorry, red lorry. Green lorry, lilo. Leko kaju. Kadem kilantu atefukanda. Lamina Mungu wakatuwe kwa. Hey!
Hi there, my name is Perpetual Nyambura and I love cooking. We all love art and we all love good food.
Yeah, ukiwa na passion ya upishi.
Yes.
Hii inasaidia sana. Kwa sababu kuna watu hupika just for the sake.
Mulo Wetu introduces you to creativity in meal preparation. Don't miss a fresh episode of Mulo Wetu.
Kila Alhamisi 7:30 to 8 p.m.
Marudio yake iko hapa, that is Friday from 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. only on MBCI TV.
Hujambo na karibu katika taarifa zetu. Ni wakati wa kukujuza yanayojiri ndani na nje ya taarifa zinazotufikia kwa sasa. Taarifa ni muktasari tu, lakini katika jamii yetu tunadadisi kiundani na kukuletea kina cha jambo. Niaje? Wakajikuta ndani. Ni yapi ambayo waliyapitia na kutengeza vile ambavyo unaviona?
Sasa unakata glasi.
Afya bora, tamaduni, elimu, mazingira, hata majanga. Maswala yaliyo na mguso yanayokuhusu kwa njia moja ama nyingine.
Lazima sisi tuwe kitu moja.
Au kukula gani?
Ilikuwa positive.
Use anything. Wakisikia kuna shida ni vyema kukuja kufanywa check up.
Yote haya ni kwenye makala Jamii Yetu kila Ijumaa saa 12:30 jioni hadi saa 1 usiku, ukiletewa nami Enaeli Mlinga.
Hi there, my name is George Washuri, CEO Optiven Group, and I'm very excited to introduce Ushindi Gardens Nakuru. This property is developed by Optiven and we are doing compacted maramuros. We plant the trees, fence the property. What's unique about this property? It's only 1.2 kilometers off the highway and 18 minutes from Nakuru City, the pink city. So please call this number 0790 300 300. Optiven, we have you covered. Optiven.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back. It's a pleasure to still be with you on this beautiful Tuesday. We are having the Legal Tuesday right here on the Mid-Morning Pack on your favorite station, MBCI TV. And we also have a guest, that is Wakili Wilfred N. Konosi. Is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and also a commissioner of Oz, helping us to look at this particular subject on the Bill of Rights. But meanwhile, as we had promised, we have Kagi on the other side. He has prepared for us a very, very interesting segment on landmark rulings. Kagi, what is it that you have for us? Karibu sana.
Thank you so much. Na mpenzi mtazamaji, leo nimekuletea sehemu ambayo ni speciali sana, ambayo inaitwa landmark ruling. Hiyo ni kumaanisha kwamba ni kesi ambazo zimefanywa, lakini uamuzi huo umefanyika kwa njia ambayo kidogo ni speciali. Leo tunasafiri moja kwa moja hadi nchi ya Rwanda, ambapo nadhani umesikia historia kuhusiana na mauaji ya halaiki ambayo tunasema kwa Kiingereza ni genocide mwaka 1994. Kesi hii imekuwa ikifanyika kule The Hague, Netherlands, na vile vile kule Tanzania, manake Umoja wa Mataifa ulitengeneza tribunal kule Tanzania ya kuweza kuangalia wale ambao walihusika. Na leo tunaangalia mtu mmoja ambaye ni wa mwisho kabisa kuweza kushtakiwa kuhusiana na kesi hizi, anaitwa Felicen Kabuga. Yeye ni mwanabiashara hasa katika biashara ya majani chai, na amewahi kuwa mwanabiashara pale na ana umri wa miaka 90. Kabuga anashukiwa kwamba aliweza kuchangia zaidi katika kuleta kufadhili vita hivyo kati ya Hutu na Tutsi. Mahakama ya Kimataifa ICC na Umoja Mataifa ukaweka kesi na ukasema kwamba lazima akamatwe, warrant of arrest, mwaka wa 2013. Na baadaye aliweza kujificha kwa zaidi ya miaka 23, na hapo ndio Mangicho alisema kulikuwa na fununu kwamba alikuwa amejificha humu nchini. Lakini alipatikana baadaye after 23 years katika nchi ambayo inaitwa Ufaransa, na mahakama hiyo ambayo ilimfanyia kesi iliweza kuamua vitu tofauti ambavyo nataka tuvione sasa hivi. The landmark ruling yenyewe ndio sasa inakuja, ambapo Kabuga alishtakiwa kwamba alihusika katika operating what we call the hate media, ambayo ilikuwa ni radio pamoja na television, na kuweza kushawishi watu kupitia media yake aweze kuua watu Hutu, waweze kuua Watutsi. Na katika hiyo hali ya kuchochea kupitia media, zaidi ya watu 1800 waliweza kufariki. Pia alishtakiwa kwamba aliweza kutoa vifaa vya vita na kusupport militia group ambayo ilikuwa inaitwa Interahamwe, na baadaye akashtakiwa kwa sababu ya genocide, direct and public incitement to commit genocide. Ruling yake ilikuwa ni gani? Baada ya kukamatwa kule Ufaransa na kesi ikafanyika na majaji ambao walikuwa ni kama 4 hivi, walikuja na uamuzi ufuatao. UN appeal judges have ordered the war crime trial for 90 years old Rwanda genocide suspect Felicen Kabuga indefinitely suspended because he has dementia. Huu ni ugonjwa ambao ukipata unakuwa msahaulifu, huwezi kukumbuka mambo. Licha kwamba alikuwa na makosa mengi, Kabuga aliweza kuachiliwa kwa sababu hawezi akakumbuka kile ambacho kilitendeka, memory yake imeenda chini. Na there was a plan kufanywa an alternative way of making a trial in Rwanda, ambayo ilikuwa rejected hapo baadaye. Na hiyo ndio mwisho wetu wa the landmark ruling about Felicen Kabuga. Mangicho.
Asante sana wenzangu Paul Kagi, quite interesting there on Felicen Kabuga. And I know even our guest here, Wakili, when you listen to Kagi, and he's saying that the court, the UN court acquitted him on grounds of, he talked about dementia. Maybe if you could just help our viewer to be able maybe to understand some of these issues that maybe might actually maybe take the court to make a particular decision, such a particular decision.
It actually comes to the topic we are discussing about the Bill of Rights. When you're facing a criminal trial, the court needs to be satisfied that you are mentally fit to follow the proceedings. You are mentally fit to prepare for your defense. Okay. So I can understand when the tribunal was saying that Kabuga is 90 years, he is suffering from dementia. So you can't try a person who is not aware what is happening. How will he defend himself?
How will he defend
himself? So that is my explanation of that ruling.
And maybe Kagi also listening to what Wakili is saying, actually, because we are, as you've rightly told us, the grounds on which maybe the international court actually acquitted Felicen Kabuga. I don't know, Kagi, what is your take about maybe those back in Rwanda, maybe who feel that they didn't get justice because of that particular acquittal?
Ya, kuna kitu ambacho kilifanyika baada ya hizi kesi kuendelea kule katika nchi ya Rwanda, na Rwanda wenyewe walikubaliana kitu moja. Maana kuna watu wengi ambao walishtakiwa walikuwa katika media. Nimesema pale katika nchi ya Tanzania, Umoja wa Mataifa ulitengeneza koti ambayo inaitwa Special Court on Rwanda, ambayo ilishtaki watu wengi sana. Nakumbuka kuna wale walikuwa wamefunga miaka 40, 30, 20 depending na your case. Na baadaye Rwandese wakakaa pamoja wakasema, now we need to come together as Rwanda to be able to bring our house in order. Wakakubaliana kwamba from today we shall never experience any genocide in our country. Na wakaambiana kwamba kutoka leo hakuna Mtutsi na hakuna Mhutu. Kwa hivyo ukienda Rwanda leo, wezi mtu akisema eti mimi ni Mrwanda, mimi ni Mtutsi, hakuna kitu kama hicho. Most interesting, Mangicho, if you could remember wakati wa post-election violence zetu, kuna wakati kulikuwa na, ilikuwa naitwa the special tribunal ya kuweza reconciliation committee, remember that? Rwanda kulikuwa na moja ambayo ilikuwa ni reconciliation among the Rwandanese. Sasa kama Mangicho ni jirani yangu, ulihusika katika kuua kakangu au mamangu, tunapatana kijijini, unakiri ulifanya hivyo, alafu tunasameheana. And today Rwanda, they are living in peace without a Tutsi and Rwandese. Before you continue, Mangicho, wakili, kuna kitu moja ambacho nilikutaka kuuliza. Wakati kesi inaendelea kotini, mtu ambaye amefanya mauaji, a murder case, you must go what you call, you guys, medical examination to be able to determine whether a person is qualified to stand a trial. Swali ni je, wakili, mtu ambaye ni wa corruption, mtu ambaye ameiba kitu huku vijijini, kwa nini asiangaliwe kama bado akili yake iko sawa kuweza kufanyiwa kesi?
Very, very interesting. Why is mental assessment limited to persons charged with a murder and not any other offense? The answer is actually very simple. It is because of the severity of the punishment. Because if you are found guilty of murder, the mandatory sentence is a death penalty. So because of the seriousness of the sentence, that is why the law provides that a person who is charged with murder must undergo a mental assessment to see if that person is fit to stand trial, unlike these other offenses. Yeah.
Oh, so basically that what normally happens is that they consider the nature of the offense that has actually been made.
No, actually the only offense in which people undergo mental assessment
is only murder.
Is only murder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, maybe I'm really suspecting something, wakili. Kama kuna mtu ambaye anaweza kuona hii kesi itamsukuma maisha gerezani, alafu amue atajifanya yeye ako na shida, inawezekana kwamba yeye akili yake haishikanishe mambo vizuri?
We have had cases where people feign mental illness, but once you are taken for assessment, the judges go by the reports of the assessor. I remember I did, late 90s, I did a case of murder. This gentleman was suffering from what is called schizophrenia. Okay. She would see things, and he actually killed his mother. So when he was taken to for mental assessment, the doctor said, no, this man is fit to face trial. But when we appealed, the Court of Appeal actually agreed with us that this person was not fit to face trial, and his trial was actually wrong. And if I remember well, he was now detained at the president's pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mangicho, and what happens, wakili, to an underage, mtu ambaye ako chini ya umri na amepatikana na kesi ya mauaji? What happens?
The law does not provide for death penalty for people who are underage. Again, if you are found guilty and you are a minor, you will again be detained at the pleasure of the president.
Yeah. The pleasure of the president. And even as we discuss that particular issue, Kagi, and also Wakili, there is something else that has actually come to my mind, and I don't know how this will now affect the Bill of Rights for this particular individual, Wakili, and this is something that we've also actually even been seeing in some of our media, whereby maybe someone has been convicted by a court, but in one way or another, it has later been found that they actually did not commit this particular offense. But they have served there maybe other 7 years, 14 years. How do you look into this in relation to one's rights?
I think that is the problem with our court system. It takes a long time, for instance, to hear appeals. So you might be sentenced to 5 years. Your appeal takes more than 5 years. So that by the time your appeal is heard, you have already served your sentence. So that is a systemic problem with our law, with our courts. Because ideally, we should have a time limit within which appeals should be heard. Yeah.
But are there those scenarios whereby the court has done its work, it has made its judgment, but when it comes to the real situation, the judgment that it has made, maybe we can say that it was not the right judgment because maybe the person that maybe has been convicted did not commit that particular offense?
Yeah, we have cases like those. Courts normally rely on evidence. So if, for instance, you are charged with an offense and people doctor the evidence very well so that the judge looking at the case will think you are guilty, of course the judge will convict you based on the evidence which has been produced, even though you are actually, that person may be actually innocent. Yeah. So those are the instances. It depends on the evidence which was produced before the courts.
Yes, Kagi.
Yeah, Mangicho, again, on the issue of the Bill of Rights, Wakili, what are the basic Bill of Rights regarding to the accused?
That is provided for under Article 50 of the Constitution. Every accused person has the right to a fair hearing.
Na tukisema accused ni mtu ambaye ameshtakiwa mahakamani, sio?
Mahakamani. Yeah. That person has a right to be presumed innocent until proved guilty. Yeah, you have to be considered innocent until proved guilty. You are supposed to be informed what you are charged of in detail so that you can be able to answer to that charge. You are supposed to be given adequate time to prepare for your defense. You are entitled to a public trial, not a kangaroo trial where we don't know what happens. You have a right for your case to be determined without unreasonable delay. You have a right to be represented by an advocate. Like in cases of murder, you have a right to be given an advocate to represent you, paid for by the state. Recently, under the new constitution, it now provides that you are supposed to be given evidence which is going to be used against you so that you prepare for your trial. So that if you are accused with an offense of stealing, you are given the statements of all the witnesses who are going to testify against you so that you prepare for your defense. You have a right not to give what we call self-incriminating evidence. You can't give evidence which will incriminate you. If you cannot understand English or Kiswahili, you have a right to get an interpreter so that the proceedings are interpreted in a language in which you understand. You also have a right to keep silent.
Okay.
You can say, I'm not saying anything. If you have enough evidence, use it to convict me. And then you have a right to serve the least severe punishment, which is prescribed by any act of parliament. And then
Before akili aendelee hapo kwa uko na haki ya kunyamaza kotini, the right to stay mum.
Yes.
Hiyo si ni hatari sana, kwa sababu mahakama inaweza kusema kwamba umekataa kujitetea katika, yani kesi inaweza kukualalia tu kwa sababu umenyamaza katika koti.
The criminal justice system, in the criminal justice system, the rule is that the prosecution must prove its case beyond any reasonable doubt. So if I'm sure the prosecution does not have any evidence, I don't have to say anything. The court will look at the evidence which has been tendered by the prosecution. If it is not enough to sustain a conviction, even if I don't say anything, the court will acquit me.
Yeah, before endelee Mangicho pia, the Bill of Rights regarding to the accused ambaye ameshtakiwa, mambo inahusu kuwakilishwa na wakili kotini. Je, wakili, mshukiwa ana haki ya kuwakilishwa na wakili kotini ama anaweza kuamua sitaki kuwakilishwa na wakili kotini?
Anaweza amua atake kuwakilishwa na wakili kotini, lakini ako na hiyo right ya kuwa represented by an advocate of his own choice. So it's up to you to decide. Do I want an advocate? Yes. If I don't want, I have exercised my right of not exercising the right to be represented by an advocate of my own choice.
And what is the risk ya kutotaka kuwakilishwa na wakili kotini? Sema mimi nakwenda kiume kotini. Hatari iko wapi? The risk?
The risk is, you, of course, you lack legal advice. You might be having a very good defense, but because you have lacked legal advice, you might even be convicted wrongly. Okay. Because if you are an advocate, maybe you would see some loopholes which you would raise, and you would walk out free. Yeah.
And still in line with that, Kagi, that particular point of actually being represented by an advocate, because we've also seen some situations, some circumstances whereby someone really wants to be or to get the services of an advocate, but maybe they're not in a position to, maybe because of the cost that it comes with securing an advocate.
Yes, there are parties who are accused persons who cannot afford advocates. But we have programs which deal with those issues. We have Kituo cha Sheria. If you approach them, they approach us as advocates and they request us to do those cases on what we call a pro bono basis, okay. Without payment. So there are advocates also who offer pro bono services to persons who cannot afford legal fees. But the challenge is some of those accused persons do not know, for instance, that I offer pro bono services. So they may not come to me.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. I think, Agi, later on you'll be giving us a segment on Inside the Law, but I don't know if my director also has our legal terminology for today. If my director has our legal terminology for today, we can get it. Then Kagi will take us to Inside the Law. Let us get to the legal terminology for today.
It seems kuna technical hitch hapo. Naona kile ambacho tumepewa ni what we call the Inside the Law. Sijui nielezee kidogo kuhusu the Inside the Law, alafu baadaye tuangalie the legal terminology.
Okay.
As you can see, dear viewer, tuko na the structure of our courts today. I want to explain what happens to our courts. Na nitazungumza Kiswahili ndio tuweze kuelewa kule mashinani ya kwamba mahakama zetu ziko aina mbalimbali. Tuko na ile ambayo inaitwa ya juu kabisa, nitaanza nayo, inaitwa Supreme Court. Supreme Court ndio mahakama ya juu zaidi katika jamhuri yetu ya Kenya. Na mahakama hii inaongozwa na mtu ambaye anaitwa president ama rais wa mahakama, ambaye pia ana cheo cha kuwa Chief Justice. Chief Justice pia ako na naibu wake Deputy Chief Justice, na katika hiyo mahakama pia kuna majaji wengine 5. Kwa hivyo kwa jumla katika Supreme Court tuko na majaji ambao ni 7, na hii ndio koti ya juu zaidi hapa nchini, tunasema ni mahakama ya juu. Mahakama hii iko na kazi yake muhimu, hears appeals on cases that have been concluded by the Court of Appeal. Kwa mfano ukienda katika koti ambayo iko pale chini inaitwa Court of Appeal, huku tosheka na uamuzi katika hiyo koti, unaweza ukapeleka mahakama ya juu ambayo ni Supreme, ambayo inasema ni appealing the case. Pia inahusika katika issuing advisory opinion on constitutional matters of public interest at request to the government, to the institutions. Ni kumaanisha kwamba wakati ambapo kuna swala ambalo limetokea watu hawaelewi katiba inasema vipi, ama kuna mvutano ya mawakili, wanasheria kuhusu jambo fulani, hapa ndio tunakwenda kuuliza Supreme Court, tusaidieni tuweze kuelewa hii kifungu cha sheria kinasema nini kuhusu mambo yafuatayo. Kutoka hapo chini kidogo tuko na the Court of Appeal, kwa Kiswahili mahakama ya rufaa, na nimesema mahakama haya nasikiza zile rufaa zimetoka katika High Court. Hapo chini kidogo kuna High Court. Kwa hivyo kama kuna kesi imefanyika High Court, huku tosheka na uamuzi wa High Court, unaenda kuwasilisha hiyo kesi pale katika Court of Appeal, ndio tunasema ni appealing the case. Kwa kawaida mahakama haya yana majaji 12, na wakati mwingi wakati kesi hizi zinafanyika huwa ina bench ya majaji 3. Na baada ya hapo basi hapo chini kidogo tuko na High Court, na mahakama hii mostly inasikiza kesi za kawaida, mambo ya mauaji, mambo ya wizi, inasikiza kesi kama hizo, na vile vile inaangalia kama kuna haki za mtu zimekiukwa. For example, mtu akifanyia jambo amekiuka haki zako, it determines whether your fundamental rights have been violated. Na wakati mwingi unakuta mahakama haya kesi yako inafanyika na jaji mmoja. Pia katika hicho kiwango cha High Court kuna mahakama 2. Kuna moja ambayo inaitwa Environment and Land Court, inahusika na mambo ya kuangalia kwamba mazingira yetu yamelindwa kisheria na vile vile masuala ya ardhi. It has power to listen and determine cases regarding to 1, environment planning and protection, kuweza kulinda mazingira yetu; 2, climate issues, mambo ya hali ya anga, kama sasa tunaongea kuhusu mambo ya El Nino; vile vile mambo ya mipaka, title deed, na natural resources, ama zile tunaita rasilimali zetu za taifa. Pia katika hicho kiwango pia kuna Employment and Labor Relations Court, as the word suggests, wanaangalia mambo ya kutatua mizozo kati ya mfanyikazi na muajiri. Na vile vile kama kesi imefanyika hapa na hukutosheka, unaweza ukaipeleka katika High Court. Lakini mostly kati ya vitu vingi ambavyo wanaangalia ni kutatua mzozo kati ya muajiri na muajiriwa, that is employer and employee; trade unions, vyama vya wafanyikazi kama kuna mzozo, ama kati ya chama cha wafanyikazi na muajiri pia kama kuna mzozo wanatatua, na vile vile mwisho kati ya muajiri na trade unions. Tuko pia na Magistrate Court ambao ni mahakama ya chini zaidi hapo chini, na mostly it handles African customary matters na civil in nature. Inaangalia mambo ya watoto, mambo ya ndoa, kama haki zako zimekiukwa, na vile vile hapo ndio kunatengenezwa some special courts. Moja inaitwa Anti-Corruption Court, iko katika hichi kiwango, na vile vile mahakama ya watoto. Pia ukiangalia hapo kando kuna mahakama zingine kama Court of Martial ambayo inahusika na kuangalia kesi ambazo zimetokea kati ya wanajeshi, na vile vile Kadhi Courts ambazo zinahusika na mambo ya kesi kati ya Waislamu, hasa mambo ya ndoa na urithi. Na pia tuko na tribunals. Tribunals ni jopo maalum linaloundwa na bunge. These are established by Act of Parliament. For example, pia zinatakikana kuhakikisha kwamba Bill of Rights, haki ya mtu imezingatiwa. Na hizi koti zinaona ni kama tu mahakama speciali au maalum kuangalia masuala fulani. For example, we have one we call Political Parties Dispute Tribunal. Kama kuna mzozo kati ya vyama vya kisiasa, hawapelekani kotini, wanakwenda katika tribunal ama National Environment Tribunal. Kwa hivyo pia tumeona pia kuna tribunals za kuweza kuchunguza kama jaji amefanya makosa, hapeleki kotini kwenye anahudumu, anatengenezewa a special tribunal. Na hiyo ndo the structure of our courts.
Quite interesting there. Very, very good job there, Paul Kagi, on the structure of our court systems in the county, at least enabling our viewer to be in a position to be able to know how this particular structure of our courts is. And one thing that has just come to my mind, Kagi, even as you are giving us that particular structure, and maybe Wakili can also, we can also rope in Wakili on this. How does this particular structure help in safeguarding the Bill of Rights?
Number one, you start your case from the lowest court which has jurisdiction to hear it.
That is for every kind of case?
Depending on the nature of the case.
Depending on the nature?
Yes.
So there are some cases that you can take directly to the Supreme?
Yes, like presidential elections. Actually, the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction to hear presidential disputes relating to presidential elections. That is why you see that when they are filing petitions, the petitions are filed at the Supreme Court, not another court. Yeah. So your case should begin from the lowest court so that you have the right of appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court. But again, a point of caution, there are instances when the right of appeal is limited. Like, for instance, appeals from the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. Not all appeals from the Court of Appeal go to the Supreme Court. In addition to what Kagi said, the Supreme Court will hear appeals where the appeal concerns the interpretation of the Constitution as a matter of right. So that one, you do not need leave of the court. Okay. Any other case which has been decided by the Supreme Court and you want to appeal, you have to apply for what we call certification, that a matter of national importance is raised by that appeal. And if it is certified, then you are given permission to appeal to the Supreme Court. But otherwise, if the appeal does not raise matters of national importance, general national importance, then your appeal will end at the Court of Appeal. Again, in the magistrate courts, they have jurisdiction to hear land, environment and land matters, and employment and the labor relations matters. In cases of employment and labor relations matters, the jurisdiction is that if your salary is 80,000 and below, then you can file your case, even though it's related to employment, in the magistrate's court. If your salary is higher, then you go to the employment and labor relations court. In terms of matters of land, so long as the value is less than 20 million, you can file that case in the magistrate court as a land matter. And then from there, if you are dissatisfied, you appeal to the land and environment court. And of course, if not, then you go straight to the Court of Appeal. Yeah.
Now, Wakili, there are very interesting scenarios. Of course, maybe they might be rare, where maybe one has put up a case in a magistrate court. Of course, the ruling was made in a way maybe that they were not satisfied. They appealed to the High Court. Maybe the High Court maybe dropped that particular appeal. They again decided maybe to appeal at the Court of Appeal, and maybe even finally at the Supreme Court. Are there those incidences or scenarios whereby maybe the Supreme Court can actually overrule or overturn the judgments by the entire or all the other lower courts?
No. The Supreme Court will not hear an appeal directly, say, from the High Court. It doesn't have jurisdiction to do so, unless there is an act of Parliament which says, in cases of this nature, then you appeal directly to the Supreme Court. For instance, you've seen the tribunals formed when a judge has misbehaved and they're considering removing him. Once that tribunal gives the decision, then you appeal to the Supreme Court against the decision of that tribunal. So it entirely depends on the cases. But as a general rule, the Court of Appeal, the Supreme Court will not hear appeals emanating from these other courts, other than the Supreme Court. Yeah, I mean, other than the Court of Appeal.
Other than the Court of Appeal.
Yeah.
And what could be the chances? Because sometimes, yes, one might actually, we definitely believe that everyone maybe has the right to appeal. But in a scenario whereby maybe you've seen that the court maybe has ruled in a particular way, maybe at the lower court, maybe the magistrate court, what should actually even maybe guide somebody when they want maybe to appeal or to refer the same case maybe to a higher court, like the High Court and Court of Appeal and so on?
The answer is very simple. Look at the law, what the law says. Look at previously decided cases. And if you go to a good lawyer, he will tell you here, I think we have a 50-50 chance. If you want to try your luck. Another one will tell you, here we have no chance because of 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we have a good chance because of 1, 2, 3, 4. But it's basically based on interpretation of the law vis-a-vis the facts of your case and the manner in which the court you are complaining of decided the matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tuangalie legal terminology manake naona iko tayari.
Yes.
Wakili, kidogo tu kutaka kuelewa kuhusiana na kesi zilizo katika mahakama kuu, the High Court. Because umetuambia katika Court of Appeal kuna kesi zinaishia pale. Kuna kesi zinazoishia kwa High Court, hapo hakuna kupita, there's no appeal ama magistrate. Kunazo?
Kuna kesi zinaishia High Court. Yeah.
Kama zipi hivi?
Kuna tribunal zile za kusikiza disputes biashara na mambo ya nyumba, what we call business premises rent tribunal and the rent restriction tribunal. Hiyo tribunal ikishasikiza hizo kesi unaweza kata rufaa kwenda High Court ama environment and actually tunaenda kwa environment and land court. Sasa hiyo ikitoa hiyo uamuzi, hiyo ndio mwisho yake.
Inaishia hapo.
Huwezi endelea mbele tena.
Yeah. Okay. Kwa hivyo ni kumaanisha the structure it's coming up katika High Court zetu mahakama kuu iko na branches, environment, land, ama ziko level moja zote, they independent?
Hapana, wacha nikueleze hiyo. Under Article 162, 2 of the Constitution, it reads like this: Parliament shall establish courts with the status of the High Court to hear and determine disputes relating to employment and labor relations and environment and use and occupation of land. So these are courts of equal status.
With High Court.
Yeah, they are not divisions of the High Court. They are courts of equal status.
Okay.
Yeah. I think most people make that mistake that the Environment and Land Court is a branch of the High Court. No.
Me being one of them.
Yeah. And actually, if you look at the structure of our courts, that is, and I think Article 160, 160, it says that we have superior courts and subordinate courts.
Yeah.
So superior courts are the Court of Appeal, the Environment and Land Court, the High Court, and the Employment and Labor Relations Court. The subordinate courts are those ones which are below the High Court, the Magistrate Courts, the Cadi's Courts, and the tribunals. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So nimefikiria kuhusu the Marshal Court.
Yeah, even Court Martial is actually a subordinate court. Yeah.
Mtu akipatikana na soja wapigane mmoja uwe mwingine, unapelekana kwa Marshal ama kwa High Court?
It depends where the offense occurs. Court Martial ni yale mambo yanatendeka kwa kambi.
Kwa kambi ndani.
Yes.
Sio katikati ya mwanajeshi na mwanajeshi.
Lakini ikiwa ndani ya kambi. Yeah. Ikiwa outside the kambi, that is now a normal matter.
Wanajeshi hilo kipatikana kwa pub, wamepigana huko kwa sababu ya sherehe.
It can go both ways.
Yes.
As officers, you're not supposed to fight in a bar. You can be taken to the court martial. And again, you can be charged with a criminal offense in the normal courts. Yeah.
Great. Sijui Mangicho tupate
if my director can now give us the legal terminology for today. If it is ready, of course, we can have a look at it, the legal terminology for today, as we continue with our discussion. Yes, and there you go. That is our legal terminology for today, and it is called alibi. But you'll hear some people also pronouncing it alibi, but it is an alibi. That is our legal terminology for today, which means in Latin elsewhere, and also it means defense that places the defendant elsewhere at the time of the crime. Defense that places the defendant elsewhere at the time of the crime. That is what we mean when we talk about alibi. That is a defense that places the defendant elsewhere at the time of the crime. And I think Wakili can break it down for us.
Actually, that term is normally used in criminal cases.
Yes.
And when it's a defense. Yeah. When you raise a defense of alibi, you're saying X was killed in Nakuru. At that time of the killing, I was in Nairobi, so I didn't commit the crime. Basically, that is what it means.
Okay.
Or if I'm accused of stealing in Nairobi on a certain date and I'm arrested, I'll say, no, I was in Nakuru.
Yes.
And I can prove I was in Nakuru. So that is a defense. You are pleading that I was not at the place of the crime at the time it is alleged to have taken place. So it is placing you outside the place where the crime
happened,
was committed and the time the crime was committed.
So which kind of evidence are you supposed to maybe to provide for you to prove that kind of for you to prove that alibi? Is it you have maybe some recordings, some images, some witnesses?
Number one, you can call witnesses who will say, no, I was with him in this place. With this era of technology and phones, we have this thing called Google, which shows everywhere you have gone. You can actually give them your phone and say from Google, this is the way I moved. I was not there. So there are so many ways of proving that you are actually not at that place. Yeah.
Mangicho, nimefikiria kuhusiana na you see these terminologies, they are very many in court.
Yeah.
Na nimefikiria wakili, mtu ambaye anataka kusomea uwakili. Anasoma miaka ngapi? Kwa sababu there's a lot to do here. Hizi terms zikisemwa kwa court na uzielewi, basi kesi yako imeenda vibaya. How do you maybe do a legal maybe course?
Okay, I forgot to mention at the beginning that I'm actually a law lecturer. Yeah, I teach at Kisii University since 2011.
Okay.
I served as Dean of the School of Law for 4 years between 2014 and 2018. So the course takes 4 years. After 4 years, you go to Kenya School of Law, you do exams. Once you pass, you are attached to a law firm where you do pupillage for 6 months. Then after that, you are now admitted as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
For example, you have been, you want to do law and you go to a university, direct entry in the university. So after completing your 4 years in university, you go back to the Kenya School of Law for a diploma?
Yes, for a diploma in law.
From university, you go for a diploma
yes.
in law?
We call it a postgraduate diploma. That is what allows you now to become an advocate. When you graduate from university, you are a lawyer. You are not an advocate. When you go to the School of Law, Kenya School of Law, and pass those examinations and you are awarded a degree and you are admitted by the Chief Justice, then you are admitted what we call to the bar not the bar for drinking, as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
So Kenya School of Law, you offer they offer degree? Or
No, a diploma.
A diploma.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Now, did you hear that difference between a lawyer and an advocate?
Yeah, sure. Very, very good distinction there. I believe actually so many people maybe were not aware about that. Now, Wakili, of course, we've talked about the Bill of Rights.
Yes.
And how would you relate the Bill of Rights with responsibilities? Yes, we have the Bill of Rights. Now, what would you say, or what would you explain as far as the responsibilities that maybe our viewer has in as far as ensuring that this Bill of Rights are taken care of?
Number one, I think each one of us has a responsibility to respect the rights of other persons. That's the fundamental issue with regard to responsibilities. And I think basically that is the main responsibility, that you are under an obligation to respect those rights, to make sure that you don't threaten, infringe, or violate other people's rights. And you have a duty to uphold the Bill of Rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is the basic responsibility. Now, there are situations or there are circumstances whereby maybe some people would argue, for example, when it comes maybe to the issue like what is now affecting so many Kenyans, the cost of living. Some Kenyans may be finding it very difficult, Wakili, to put maybe a meal on the table on a daily basis. And here we are saying that maybe among the Bill of Rights maybe is even the right to health, the right even maybe to food. And they're basically saying these rights are violated. How do you look into this?
That's a very tricky question, and I think it needs to be tested in our courts, because you are talking about social and social, economic, and cultural rights. Like, remember, as I mentioned earlier, these are rights the governments will argue are realized progressively and depending on the available resources. So if you file that case in court, yes. You are likely to be told, yes, we want to do A, B, C, D, but we don't have resources. Yeah.
The government can argue very effectively.
Yes. Again, with the cost of living, I think this is a global issue. We are having, I think, a global issue with regards to issues of cost of living. You've seen the cost of fuel skyrocketing. Russia has refused to produce oil, and that has made the price of oil to go up. So that may not really see the light at the end of the day.
So, Wakili, is this to say that there are circumstances under which maybe some other issues or some other underlying factors would supersede the Bill of Rights?
No, unless they are what is provided for under Section Article 24. This is when 24 are the ones which cannot be limited. Any other right other than the ones provided for in Article 25 can be limited under certain circumstances. The ones which cannot be limited are freedom from torture, cruel or inhuman or degrading treatment, freedom from slavery and servitude, the right to a fair trial, what we discussed, and the right to an order of habeas corpus. Those rights cannot be limited. The others can be limited under certain circumstances. Yeah. That is why, like, the right to life can be limited. That's why we have the death penalty. Yeah.
Right to food.
Yes.
Kuna wakati ambapo mtu ama watu katika sehemu fulani ya nchi wanaweza kuwa wako na shida ya chakula mpaka inafika mahali people have died. Watu wamefariki kwa sababu hawana chakula. Hawa watu wanaweza shitaki serikali kwa sababu ya kukiuka haki zao za kutopata chakula.
Yeah, what I said, it is possible to sue, but remember what I said, the government will say those rights are to be achieved progressively. That is why you see when we have those kind of instances, the government getting some money and taking supplies to avert the situation.
Yeah. Okay. Can people push the government to provide food for them? Maybe kama saa hii kuna sehemu ambazo ziko na ukame, hawana chakula, wamekaa, wanaweza kwenda kotini na kutafuta court order. Waambie nao tunataka mahakama iagize serikali ituletee chakula hapa kijiji chetu.
Yes, again, like I said, you can do that, but the government's argument will be we don't have enough resources to do it. And once they raise that defense,
yes,
your case can't go anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting. And Okeli, what Kagi is saying, that also very important because even as because there are people that might actually have that perception or maybe have that kind of a mindset that, of course, I'm entitled to this Bill of Rights. But now when it comes to the real situation, what you normally say, things on the ground.
Yes.
So what would be therefore the duties of every individual? Okay, because it might not be necessarily that maybe someone will now bring this particular right and maybe give it to you. How much is it the business of an individual to make sure that he enjoys the rights that have been guaranteed?
You see, like the right to food, you can't just sit at home, don't do anything, and now go and tell the government, I have no food. You have a right to provide for yourself the basics, you know, unless we have, now like when we have a drought, then the government comes in. So you have a right to provide for yourself up to a certain level. You just can't sit back and say, I have this right under the Constitution. I'll sit and do nothing and ask the government to provide, say, housing.
Na kuna haki ingine Mangicho, si kama ni hiyo ama tofauti. Kuna siku hizi tuna tatizo la watu ambao wamekataa kushughulikia familia zao, hasa wanaume. Men who have refused to take care of your families. Is there any provision in the Constitution whereby the families are being guarded by the law to be provided for by their head of the family? Yani mzee amekataa kushughulikia familia, ameruka kila kitu.
Yeah, and I can see one Mr. Sassy looking from afar, and it's like this is an area which is very good at. We'll get it. Yeah, but the point you're raising, Kagi, is very important. I actually wanted to ask the same about maybe a child.
Yeah.
Maybe who is entitled to some of these basic rights, education, food, maybe shelter or killing, and they are not getting it. They are actually having a very horrible kind of living. And is there a way in which maybe they can get some recourse and maybe have the parents to be responsible for this?
Now, let me mention this. The Constitution under Article 45 recognizes the family as the natural and fundamental unit of the society and the necessary basis for social order, and shall enjoy the recognition and protection of the state. Well, this is a very general statement. Regarding providing for families, unfortunately, the only people which the court provides for are children under the age of 18. If you are a parent, you are under duty to take care of and provide for your child up to the age of 18. That parental responsibility can be extended to the year to 23 years, especially when they are in school. So as a parent, you are responsible for that child up to the age 18
yes,
or extended up to age 23. Women also are protected, but this is normally where the parties have separated or have divorced. Then either of the parties can apply to be provided for by the other, depending on the situation. So not only women who are protected, it is equal protection. Okay. Even as a man, if I'm not able to provide for myself and my wife is capable and we separate, I can go to court and say, I need my wife to provide for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite interesting there. And maybe Kagi, before you come, Wakili, there is also this particular issue now. When you're talking about this Bill of Rights and when they are violated and there is need to do compensation, what are the factors that maybe the court looks into for them maybe to award someone whose rights have been violated a particular amount of money?
Very tricky question. Huh? The court looks at very, very many factors. Your status in society.
The person that has been, whose
rights have been violated.
Okay.
If you lost employment, I mean, the kind of salary you are earning. So it's a multi-pronged approach. Yeah.
Okay. Because the reason why I'm asking this is we've seen circumstances where people maybe have actually been compensated, especially in terms of monetary value, and maybe one would want to find out how far does it go in ensuring maybe they feel they have been satisfied in terms of actually regaining from how their rights were violated.
As I mentioned, this is at the discretion of the court.
Okay.
But what we normally do, we go and look at the cases which have been decided and the amounts which the courts have awarded. So if your case is similar, I will say in this case, you awarded this person 5 million for the violation of these rights. This is the same, so award me a similar amount. Yes. Or if years have passed, because of inflation, raise it up. Yeah. And
would they also consider the person now that has been accused of violating those particular rights, the status, the monetary value that maybe they have? Not really. Because what would happen if the one maybe that has been compelled maybe to pay some particular amount, they are not in a position to?
There are ways of enforcing decrees, but then if you do not have money, then or you do not have another resources of which you can use to pay that money, then that's the end of the story. Because if you can't pay, there's nothing much which can be done. Yes. But you have been vindicated by being awarded that sum, even if you may not be able to recover it from.
But that responsibility cannot be transferred to the government?
No, it cannot.
It cannot. Kagi, if you have a point, because I can see you also, you're pressed for time.
Yeah. Wakili, one of the fundamental rights is a right to access information, is it?
Yes, Article 35.
Article 35
yes.
of the Constitution, the press freedom.
Yes.
Now, I can see you have the Kenya Constitution here.
Yes.
I don't know how many, ni Wakenya wangapi wako na katiba. Swali ni rahisi tu. Kuna mtu ambaye sasa hivi anakusikiza anasema angetaka kuelewa hizi haki zote kwa kujisomea katiba. Mtu akitaka kupata katiba ya Kenya kwa pale mashinani, anaweza itoa wapi?
There's a time the government was distributing these copies of the Constitution for free. But currently, if you have access to internet. Yes. Go to a site known as Kenya Law.
Kenya Law.
Yes. You can actually download the Constitution. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, very, very good. And I think that is where we'll bring it to a close for today on the Mid-Morning Pack, the Legal Tuesday. We want to appreciate our guest for today, that is Wakili Wilfred N. Konosi. Thank you so much, sir, for having time to be with us today on this particular program, and we really appreciate your insights, and we'd be very, very much grateful when you get another time to also join us.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and of course, Kagi, it's been nice, very nice segment. Of course, we are promising our viewers much more and many great segments even in our subsequent shows.
Yes, na mpenzi mtazamaji, basi tunakwambia hichi ni kionjo tu, ndio tunaanza kupakua mambo hapa. Kwa hivyo kaa standby kila siku ya Jumanne. Wakati na wasaa kama huu tutakuwa hapa tukiweza kuchambua na kuangalia mambo ya kisheria. Mimi naitwa Paul Kagi, asanteni sana kwa kuwa nasi adhuhuri ya leo.
And my name is Mangicho Mola on behalf of the entire team that has made this Legal Tuesday show an epic one. We want to appreciate you. Enjoy the rest of your viewing. My name is Mangicho Mola.